In this video, we're going to take a look at filtering. There are really three primary ways that you can filter data within Pyramid, either through the filter drop zone, through the filter toolbar, and then there's also a way to filter through the formulate module. In this video, we're just going to focus on the filter drop zone. This is where we are filtering members that are being used in a report. The other two filter options will be in subsequent videos. So in this example, what we're going to do is we're going to create a really simple report that just has some data selected. And we want to filter this data. So first of all, when it comes to using the filter drop zones, there's really two behaviors that you can leverage. One is called static filtering, the other is called interactive filtering. The difference between the two is shown this way. So let's start with year as an example. We're going to filter this data based on time period. So if I view the elements of the year and see all of the years, I could just pick one year and filter this data. You'll see over here it shows up with this label background. So the data is now being filtered for that period, but it is a static filter, meaning the end user cannot adjust that filter. When you save this report, it will lock that filter into the report so that the end user cannot save it. There's a lot of use cases for that where you don't want the user to change a value, but you need it in order to filter the result set that you're looking at. If I need more than one filter, you'll see by default, if I select a second filter, it actually shows me a drop down. And in fact, it shows up in the filter drop zone. Okay, this is just standard behavior in Pyramid. If you select a single member, it will go ahead and do a static background filter. If you select more than one member, it will represent that using the filter drop zone. Okay, let's say in this example, you still want to prevent the user from changing these values, but you need to be able to select more than one member. If you have that scenario, the easiest way to resolve it is to set on either the filters drop zone or the slicer settings itself, you'll see that there is an option down at the very bottom called Combine Elements. If I choose Combine Elements and hit OK, you'll see in the breadcrumb trail, it's going to tell me that this represents 2015 and 2016, but the end user is not going to be able to change it. So that static filtering works either as a single select or as a multi-select. However, if you do multi-select, you will have to set it to combined elements. Okay, so that's one aspect of filtering, either through the Elements tab or through the Filters drop zone. I can make it so that the user cannot change that value. I'm going to go ahead and remove that altogether, and let's talk about the filter drop zone. So the filter drop zone is primarily used for interactive filtering, meaning I want to filter the data, but I want the end user to choose which values to filter on. So you'll see we've got a whole host of options as to the type of filter that we choose. Most of these are both single and multi-select capable. You'll just have to pick the appropriate object. So in this case, maybe I want to choose buttons, and it will let me filter that data, but the end user is actually able to change the filter when I'm using the filter drop zone. Now, let's say that I pick something from the filter drop zone, but I change my mind after the fact as to the type of visualization control. Well, if I need to change the visualization type, I can do it down here in the filter drop zone by just grabbing the object and moving it to the upper left-hand corner of the filter drop zone, and I can pick something else. So like in this case, maybe I want multi-select buttons. And so now you'll see I can actually select multiple items from that. The other way to do it is through the right click. If you right click on the filter header, you can get the settings option, and in the settings option, you can change to the appropriate slicer type. So just be aware that, like I said, most of these support both single and multi-select. Okay, the one exception in here is the tree controls. You'll see that with tree controls, the behavior you're going to see is a little different. With all these other options, regardless of which ones I choose, the values that show up in the slicer are based on what you've selected. So if I actually uncheck 2014 and I only select 15 and 16, you'll see that those are the only choices I get. I could do the same thing with, let's say, manufacturers as an example. I'll drop that in, and by default, I'll get all of the manufacturers, but I can actually limit that list to only be certain ones. So maybe I just want these 5 values. When I run this, you'll see I only get those 5. So that works with drop downs, with text boxes, with list boxes, and buttons. Okay, if I switch this to a tree control, whether it's a single or multi-select tree, what you'll see is it doesn't matter what I selected in my elements, I will see all of them, okay? Because the tree control overwrites everything. And really the main purpose of the tree control is for hierarchies. So if I remove this manufacturer's filter and I go find a hierarchy, we'll use customers as an example. If I grab this hierarchy, or actually, let's see, I'm already viewing customers, so let's do products. If I grab a product hierarchy and I drop it on the filters, what you'll see is the default selection is a tree control. And what you'll see is I can actually expand and collapse and see all of the elements of that tree control, regardless of what I've got selected in the Elements tab. I'm going to see everything. Okay, so be aware of that. When you're working with the tree control, it will always show you every member of that object, whether it's a flat list or a full hierarchy, but that's the way the tree controls work. So with this video, we'll just go ahead and wrap it up. What we're talking about is member filtering within our data set. We can, once again, either select a single member from an attribute and it will show up as a background, or we can select multiple members and either use the visualization components to represent those multiple members, or we can use that combined elements option to push it back to the background again to simplify our filtering. So hopefully you're able to follow that. Just know that the filter component is really simple to use, but yet powerful, that you can take advantage of when you're building your reports. Thank you very much.